TaxAct's filing software and live tax experts can help small businesses easily knock out their taxes. Actually, our experts can help you find deductions and credits for any sized business. Itty-bitty businesses, medium-sized, really big, mid-sized, small businesses, companies with 0 employees, and mom-and-pop conglomerates. Yep, our tax experts can help all of them. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Faraday presenta Ojos con Alergia y Picazón contra el jardinero. Y el ganador es Faraday Extra Fuerte. Para aliviar la picazón de los ojos por alergia, actúa más rápido y supera a Claritin y Flonase aún a las 24 horas. Faraday, adelante.
Mike and Nick and Alice are lighting the fuse, and we're finding drama in a Super Mario Galaxy. I'm Van Connor.
And I'm Adam Ball, and this is Off Screen, your 7-day guide to everything movies.
Boom.
Hello and welcome back to another week of Off Screen. So we've got a load of movies to talk about that Van has already seen, of course. We're going to look at the drama, the big one. Well, I say the big one, apparently the big one, the Super Mario Galaxy movie we're going to talk about. But we'll see what Van has to say about that one. But first, as always, we're going to dive straight into the box office top 10 in UK and Ireland right now. So let's whiz through these, shall we?
I'm just going to say, incidentally, that there's 2 this week I haven't seen. One is the Bollywood one. The other one is like a children's bluey one. So, okay, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right for keeping up with the top 10.
Why have you not watched the bluey one, Van?
Why have I? Well, because I'm 42 years old and thankfully childless, my good man. And I intend to keep it that way. I have a niece and nephew, and I've still managed to never watch a single episode of bloody Bluey. So, do you know what? I'm keeping my life that way. Have you avoided Bluey so far? Is this thing?
No. My son went through his Bluey stage. Yeah, no, unfortunately. I'm trying to hide this from him.
Yeah, he's at number 8, so that's fine. So, number 10, then we've got How to Make a Killing, which I have seen back now as well. And I think I held my opinion of it initially has held to the second time I saw this, which is, perfectly good, but it needs to be either more sadistic or more goofy. And it kind of sits awkwardly in the middle of those two, but occasionally veers from one to the other and back and forth, and doesn't quite work for that reason. But, Glenn Powell's charming. It's a shame Margaret Qualley isn't. But the film's kind of fine and enjoyable. It's just not very memorable or perfect or really a banger because, again, neither silly nor nasty enough.
Well, that's at number 10, sitting on 1.8 million at the moment. At number 9 is Mother's Pride, which you thought was all right. It's been out 4 weeks now, 3.2 million.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I would imagine the crowd I predicted to you would go and see this are the ones going and seeing this. Like, I would imagine this is very much a word of mouth, amongst the community kind of thing. When all the parents, when you're a kid and all the parents would recommend films to each other. In the good old days, when word of mouth used to actually drive a film, like back in the 80s and 90s, like video stuff. I would imagine this is what's happening with Mother's Pride, because it's holding in there 4 weeks, that amount of money. This is not exactly widely marketed, is it? So how are people discovering it to go and see it? It's clearly got to be word of mouth.
Well, that's at number 9. At number 8 is the one that you haven't seen, one of the two, Bluey at the cinema, Playdates with Friends. 185 grand for its first week.
I have play dates with friends at cinemas, so, I have some experience in this matter, just not the bluey kind, or the blue kind, definitely. Let's go to number 7, then. The weird thing is, number 7 and number 6 are variations on the exact same concept. So number 7 is They Will Kill You, and then number 6 is Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, both of which are about one woman gets hunted by rich people. Only one of them is infinitely better than the other, and it's the one that's got a sequel. They Will Kill You just feels like a sort of, hodgepodge mishmash of borrowed bits from other movies, including Ready or Not. There's that great part when, someone says to her, what happened here? And she goes, rich people. You're like, that's literally a line from Ready or Not. Did you not bother to check that you... what did you share a bed? Share a living room? Like, what happened? Anyway, Ready or Not 2, which again, very good. Better than They Will Kill You, I thought. But really not as obviously not as surprising as the first one, because it's the second one. You can't do the surprise the second time. It's a world expansion that feels a little bit contrived, but they get through it, and you get to the massacring and the killing and the visceral catharsis and the gory deaths and things like all the fun that you came for. They get there, and it's got Sarah Michelle Gellar chewing the scenery. When's that not fun?
This is true. Okay, then we are on the top 5. Reminders of Him. 3 weeks that's been out. We're sitting at 3.4 million for that one. That's not bad for 3 weeks.
I mean, it's Colin Hoover adaptation now. Sorry, did I say Colin Hoover? I mean Colleen Hoover.
Yeah, don't get that wrong.
She puts on a fake moustache and becomes Colin Hoover
At the weekend.
to trick the Jehovah's Witnesses when they come to the door. It's like, she put on the stash and become Colin. No, Colleen Hoover's latest adaptation. This is the third mainstream movie adapted from one of her works after It Ends With Us and Regretting You. This one is Micah Monroe and Tyreek Withers, and they're a very sexy, very hot couple, so much so that their chemistry managed to overcome the fact that none of this plot makes any sense. Like, it's one of those stories that presumably works in a trash romance novel, but when you actually say it out loud, like in a film, doesn't really.
Well, that's at number 5, Reminders of Him. Straight into number 4, Durandahar, The Revenge. I can't remember if you liked this or not.
I didn't see it because, for one thing, it wasn't press-shown, and also I'm not qualified. I didn't see Durandahar, The Initial Venge. So, I mean, the first Venge. So I obviously not seen the Revenge. I have seen number 3 though, and I know. I don't know if you've taken Albert to see this yet.
No, I've got him. I'm off work for a week now, next week, so I've got him for the whole week. That is on our list. We're going to go and see Hoppers.
Okay, Hoppers, which I think is an absolute banger, and I do think Easter belongs to this and Mario. Like, it is, it's a 2-horse race. And I think the only thing working against Hoppers in that race is the fact that it's had a month and a lot of people will have seen it already. Like, a lot of families might have seen it already. But then again, the beauty of, cinema and young children is kids like to see the same movies over and over. So it may well actually lap it.
Don't I know it?
Yeah, remember Elemental? That kept swinging back into the box office top 7 for a long time. But excellent movie. Vintage Pixar fare. It's Avatar better than Avatar. What's Avatar with a beaver? I mean, a 3D printed robot beaver. What's not to love? If blue skinny people are a bit off-putting for you, have a robot beaver instead.
I mean, that's the best thing I've heard all day. Avatar with a beaver. I mean, I'm sold. That's all I'm going to say. So that's Hoppers. That's at number 3 this week. That's sitting on 10.8 million, and I'm sure that is probably going to add another 50% on by the end of next week. Number 2, yeah, of course, because everyone's going to go in the Easter holidays, aren't they? Number 2, The Magic Faraway Tree. That's been out a week. I know somebody went to see this and said it was really good, actually.
I mean, I know people that really love it. And I know people that really took against it, that really just basically took my side of it, which is, who is this for? Like, really, who is it for? Because even the generation of grandparents who kind of pushed the Enid Blyton stuff are not around anymore. Like, the grandparent generation now are, more like my mother's generation, who didn't really care. Like, I can't figure out where this came from. And the script by Simon Faraday just kind of suggests that he is more suited to, like, broader comedy, and that this is quite outside his wheelhouse, outside of the Wi-Fi joke, which is still great. The Wi-Fi joke is fantastic, and one I will repeat forever. Like I said to you, I told you the joke, and then I just saved you an hour and 47 boobless minutes. But it's just not something that grabbed me. I wasn't particularly charmed by it. The production design was kind of all over the place. Like, at one point, you're in a really nice, like, well-designed set, and everyone looks like they're in costumes from B&M. And then the next thing, everyone looks fantastic, but they're in a set that looks like it's from the polystyrene days of 60s Star Trek fare. Like, it's kind of bizarrely all over the shop. But, I'm sure there are people that will like it, as there are people who continue to discover and like the Enid Blyton books. I just wonder, how much that counts for the box office take in 2026.
Well, at number 1 this week, on 15.1 million quid, is Project Hail Mary. And, of course, that's been out for 2 weeks now.
I mean, to be fair, this thing is a juggernaut. It is continuing the biggest trend in the past few years since the superhero boom really has been pushing adult-centric bestsellers, like best-selling novels aimed at grown-ups, through the media form. Doing that has basically been the big thing outside of superheroes in the past decade, give or take more conventional Conjuring-style studio horror. And Project Hail Mary, for my money, is I think one of the high watermarks. I mean, it's not as good as The Martian, obviously, but very little is. And it's a film that I want to go back and see again, because the more it sits with me, the more I think about how charmed I was by this really loving little friendship that forms between Ryan Gosling and a space rock lobster. You know, that's it. Interstellar with a sort of heartwarming buddy element in it.
Crustacean.
You know how bored you were of Anne Hathaway in Interstellar?
Oh,
When
yes.
you're watching Interstellar and you're thinking, this is really good, and then Anne Hathaway keeps opening her mouth and absolutely killing the plot because Christopher Nolan does not know how to write for women. Well, basically, if you remove that and you take her away and you replace her with a space rock lobster, that's this movie. That's basically this movie.
Well, there we have it then. This week's UK and Ireland top 10 in the box office. Right then, a couple of movies we're going to look at next. We're going to look at Mike and Nick and Nick and Alice, and we'll see what Van thought of Fuze as well. Stay where you are. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen then. Let's dive nicely into our next two movies. We're going to see what Van thought of Mike and Nick and Alice in a moment. But first, it's an action movie. It's called Fuze with a Z, and I know nothing about it, so let's find out with Van.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, that Z annoys me. Every
Yeah,
time
me
I
too.
walk past an ad for this and I see the Z, I just shudder. There's a part of me that shudders just every time that's said.
It's like a really old person trying to be cool, isn't it?
Isn't it just? Yeah, it feels like a Tory MP trying to make one of their policies like appeal to the youth. You know what I mean? Like one of those. This is the new movie from David Mackenzie, who obviously directed Hell on High Water, most notably, but also directed the movie I absolutely despise from 2014 called Starred Up. A movie I gave such a terrible review to that, and I swear to God this is true. A regional publicist from the now sadly not with us anymore studio 20th Century Fox called me up over the phone, like an actual phone call. When was the last time you received an actual phone call? An actual phone call, and spent 45 minutes trying to get me to change a review. That was an actual thing that happened.
Wow.
And that was over one of this man's films that I happen to despise. So this is his new one. It stars Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Theo James, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, and Sam Worthington. That last name should cause you to shudder if the first two didn't. So, this is a British procedural heist movie, for lack of a better term, in which Aaron Taylor-Johnson is an EOD specialist, an emergency ordnance disposal specialist. They never actually specify that in the film, by the way. It's one of those that tries to do the Michael Mann Miami Vice thing, where they give you abbreviations, but they never tell you what the abbreviations are for. It's like, if you know, you're cool. And if you don't know, this film is for you. You know, it's kind of that vibe all the way through. So he says, like, I'm an EOD specialist. Never tell you what that is, but he's going, he diffuses bombs, emergency ordnance. He is called to London, I think it's Canary Wharf, when they find, I forget what the abbreviation is that they use, but it means unexploded World War II bomb. They find a 1,000-pound unexploded World War II bomb in Canary Wharf. He comes down to disarm it, and you're all controlled blow it, whatever you do. However, this is all a smokescreen for an elaborate robbery on Edgware Road. What an explosion in Canary Wharf would have to do with a robbery on Edgware Road, given that they're nowhere bloody near each other, is anybody's guess. But sure, I tell you what, let's have a listen. This is from Fuze.
It's ticking.
Clear! Hard cover! No! Go, go, go!
Mom, look at this. I shouldn't be there.
Active message. It appears there's been a massive bank job on Edgware Road. Repeat, massive bank job.
I've just been working in the sewer, boys. Got the stench to prove it.
I mean, looking at the trailer, it looks like a really decent, well-filmed action movie to me.
It is in one sense, but it's very functional. I think it's one of those movies that really thinks it's cool. This is a movie that really thinks it's edgy and hard-boiled and cool. Like, it's one of those movies that for no reason Sam Worthington adopts a South African accent for. I think it's meant to be South African. Everyone's putting on accents for it. I think because there's very little to work with. Like, if you're going into this as an actor, there's very little to kind of grab a hold of. And you get the impression that they've kind of gone up to David Mackenzie one by one at different points. But listen, I've not got much to do really, other than just say the lines, and there's not much actual character there. So can I do it in a voice? And he'd be like, yeah, sure, it'll add depth, you know. So you be South African, Sam. I mean, you can barely speak as an American, an Australian, or a Brit, but sure, South African seems like something you can manage. And then they go to Aaron Taylor-Johnson, a man who's hardly one of our great thefts, and expect him to be, I think he's meant to be from Yorkshire. I think he is. And he is a less convincing sounding Yorkshireman than me, and I'm actually from Yorkshire. So, you know what I mean? It's one of them. However... some of it is quite cool. It's not original in any way. I mean, my favourite part of this is when they get to the reveal of, oh, we've been using this as a smokescreen to rob, you know, this gold deposit. I'm sort of thinking, this was literally the plot of a Die Hard movie. Like, we literally had this in a Die Hard movie. And I want to point out, by the way, that just for future posterity, a Die Hard movie that was so well researched by its writer that he was arrested, detained, and questioned by the FBI because he happened to have accidentally guessed how to rob the Federal Reserve. That is an actual thing that happened in 1994 to Jonathan Hensley, future director of the 2004 Punisher, incidentally. This is not very memorable. It is a film that you can watch, and this is the kind of thing you watch, and by the next day you have forgotten about it. And I say that as someone who saw this on Monday, was asked about it on Tuesday afternoon, and had to really think for a second before I turned around and noticed the giant poster behind me with the obnoxious "said" on it. So, you know what I mean? Like,
speaks volumes.
It's well directed. Yeah, it's well directed because David Mackenzie can direct. But it's not particularly stylish or imaginative or memorable or offers much in the way of interesting character work. You know what I mean? It ends with probably its best scene, which is a flashback to before the movie even began, which seems like a strange choice, but sure. And all the way through it, I'm looking at this thinking, the hard edge you've gone for here suggests you wanted a sort of Den of Thieves vibe. And that's interesting to me because the second I cottoned onto that idea, my mind immediately went to, I'm sat here watching this when I could be watching Den of Thieves 2 Pantera again. And that would just be so much more of a worthwhile use of my day. Although I will say that after I came out of this, bored out my arse, I did run into Tom Hiddleston, as you know, because I sent you the picture.
Oh, yeah.
So that was cool. That was fun.
That was a message I wasn't expecting. I thought, Van sent me a photo. What's he sent me a photo of this time? Is it another thing he's 3D printed? Oh, no, it's not.
That was fun, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
took me by surprise.
This is also a Sky Cinema original as well. So this is going to be a limited theatrical run at best before it's on Sky Cinema. So I really wouldn't rush out and see this like at all. Like, it's worth nobody's time.
Well, if you do want to go out and see it, or you know someone who does, it's in cinemas from today. Just look for Fuze with a Z. Or a Z, if you're English. Right, next then, we are on to Vince Vaughn's new one. It's an action movie. It's called Mike and Nick and Alice. Action crime, I think, this one, isn't it?
Action, crime, sci-fi, comedy. Believe it or not. Right, strap on in for this plot, all right? Vince Vaughn and James Marsden, Cyclops from the X-Men movies, a.k.a. Sonic the Hedgehog's roommate, remember him? So those two, they're partners / best friends / assassins. They are gangster kind of hitmen, effectively, like, you know, for the mob. They work for Keith David, no less. Bloody Keith David from They Live, you know, legend Keith David, whose voice just owns the Spider-Man trailer. Anyway, one day, Mike, James Marsden's character, gets a knock on his door and Vince Vaughn appears. And he says, hey, do you want to come out? I need you to help me with some work. We're gonna go. I need you to go to that house over there and knock on the door and knock the guy out. So he goes up and knocks on the door, and the door opens, and on the other side is Vince Vaughn, who he immediately tries to knock out, gets away, and then the question becomes, hang on a minute, why are there two of you? And Vince Vaughn answers, well, I'm actually from 6 months in the future. You die tonight, and I came back in time 6 months to save you because I felt really bad about your death. However, what quickly emerges is that Mike is also having an affair with Nick's wife, Isa Gonzalez. And not only does future Nick know this, but also present Nick knows this as well. And the four have to sort of team up to protect Mike for one night and to save him from being killed by the mob because, in a jealous rage, present-day Vince Vaughn has set him up as a rat. So they all think he's an informant solely because Vince Vaughn, in the present day, wants to bump him off. However, not only do they have to protect him from the external threat of the mob, they may have to protect him from some other stuff as well. So, here's the boys, the future Vince Vaughn and the present day James Marsden, revealing the present day unconscious Vince Vaughn to his wife.
So a Nightmare Fuel assassin has Mike in his sights and you're trying to help him survive the night. Is that the macro here?
Mostly. But with one important wrinkle, and show's gonna be easier than tell.
Mysterious.
Just a heads up, you're gonna freak out a little and you're gonna have some questions.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two Nicks.
Well, you have some questions. I would imagine you would have some questions. I had a lot of questions.
Well, I do have a question. Which Nicks from the future?
I love the concept of this, and actually, I love the soundtrack they've used there. It's got sort of Ocean's 11's vibes to it.
Actually, stylistically, the thing that it's trying to go for, and I suspect, given the timing of when it will have been made, it's kind of accidental, is Wolves, the George Clooney, Brad Pitt, kind of similarly stylized Hitman thing. This is actually an unexpected gem. It's very funny. I mean, Keith David steals the thing because, you know, he's conscious. So that's just what Keith David does. You know, I mean, Keith David steals episodes of Rick and Morty. That's how good Keith David is. James Marsden actually surprisingly kind of gets to kind of own the show for a change in a way that he really doesn't ever get to. And Vince Vaughn actually kind of works, even in this sort of dual role where he kind of gets to play the present day version of himself, which feels like a parody of Vince Vaughn in a strange way. And then the future one where it's like Vince Vaughn went to therapy. You know, it's kind of a weird kind of way of doing it. Isaac Gonzalez, I think was actually quite fun, engaging, kind of sexy and cool in it. The only thing I'll say against it, because it really works, it delivers the thrills, it delivers the laughs, it does the time travel stuff quite well. It's got a brilliant little appearance from Stephen Root. I'm always happy to see Stephen Root in anything. The thing that lets it down, and this is the weirdest thing, is the editing. The editing and the aesthetic stylization of the choice that they've made to continually rely on this very weird, very clunky, slow down frame rate thing they've done. It doesn't work anywhere near as well as they clearly think it does because they rely on it so heavily, and it really slaps you out of the film. You feel like it's like when you used to play an old console game when it would get junked up and you used to have to take it off and blow the cartridge. It feels like that every time they do it. You feel like you're in that era. And then you're back in 2024 watching Wolves. You know, it's the weirdest thing. Hot Tub Time Machine meets Wolves would be the best way I can describe this.
I've never ever heard you say anything about editing not being up to scratch before. That's probably the first time I've heard you say that about a movie.
Because if a film is really well edited, or if a film is really well edited, you shouldn't notice the editing.
Yeah.
If it's badly edited, you notice the editing. That's kind of the rule. Or if it's really effectively done in a very cool way, like another film we will talk about, then you notice it. But this is not one of the good cases for editing this week.
Well, if you want to check out Mike and Nick and Alice, which I certainly do, I think it's brilliant. It's on Disney Plus from Friday. Right, next we are going to see what Van thought to the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which I know some people are queuing up to see this Easter. And we've got the drama.
Son one of them?
No, he doesn't. He's played Mario, but he's really not that interested. Which I think he's missed the boat. That's the problem. But
do you know what it is?
Well,
there's too many options in things like Fortnite and Roblox and things. You can do basically anything. Mario feels so limited now.
Yeah. True. Yeah, Roblox you can do anything you want, which is exactly why. But yeah, we'll see what Van thought of that next. Stay there. Hello and welcome back to Off Screen. Right then, let's just dive straight in then, because I'm really keen to find out what this is about. I played it for a good 15 years of my life. The Super Mario Galaxy movie is out, and Van has seen it. Please don't destroy this for me.
Now, this is the interesting thing, actually, because you've kind of just pressed on an interesting point of all this, which is this is neither your nor my Mario, and that's going to be an interesting point of reference in a few minutes. So...
Ooh.
obviously, the first movie was 2023 now, was the Super Mario Brothers movie, or the Super Mario movie, I think it was called, something like that. Which I liked more than most, and I do maintain, to that point, was the best movie ever made out of a video game. Like, I think it's down to that, the first Resident Evil by Paul W.S. Anderson, and then perhaps Dwayne Johnson's Rampage, which, to be fair, is not exactly adapting a plot-heavy game. And, Mario's not exactly narrative-intensive. But, my knowledge of Mario, personally, is between the ages of about 7 and 13. I played every Mario game there was on the NES, the Game Boy, and the SNES. After that, not really a Mario player, give or take, having picked up my ex-girlfriend's DS, my nephew's Switch, and having played new Super Mario Brothers on the Wii. I don't really know what went on with Mario outside of that. I played the N64 one once or twice, actually, in high school. But I don't really know, so I don't know any of the Super Mario Galaxy games. So I just want to lead with that off the bat. So there's a lot of stuff in here, like world building and stuff like that, new characters and things, that, like the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise is now doing, we're just dealing with plot stuff that I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not my era of this franchise. So I want to get that out of the way up front, because it gets kind of funny in a minute. So, the film itself. This now follows on an undisclosed amount of time after the first movie. Mario and Luigi have settled into living as plumbers in the Mushroom Kingdom. They still work as plumbers, but they go around fixing warp. They go fix warp pipes and things now. That's what they do. They go to different kingdoms and things and fix the warp pipes for all the people there, for all the creatures that live there and stuff. In one such pipe, they uncover a dinosaur who happens to be trapped, named Yoshi, who joins the team as effectively Mario's dog. And is just the greatest character. Look, as soon as they got Yoshi, you had my money, because Super Mario World on the SNES was a huge favourite. Anyway, as they're settling into their lives, off in space, in another kingdom, another princess who looks an awful lot like Princess Peach, I think she's Peach in this version, named Rosalina, who has a family that she looks after of those little sprite-like things called Lumas. She is attacked by the son of Bowser from the first movie. Bowser obviously is incarcerated by Mario and Luigi and shrunken down, but his son is out there, and he kidnaps his first princess as part of a cunning plan to get reunite with his father. Now, Peach sets off to rescue this princess, leaving Mario and Luigi in charge of the kingdom, which they're not quite up to. And then they decide, you know what, maybe we should go and help her out, whether she wants us to or not. Particularly when that threat that kidnaps said princess then shows up at their door. So, it's a big, grand, cosmic thing. The only deal is this time the Mario Brothers are forced to team up with Bowser himself. Have a listen. This is from the very start of the movie. This is little shrunken Bowser, prisoner Bowser, in his little shrunken castle in the morning with Mario and Luigi.
Hey, Luigi! What's up, Mario? Behold! I made a masterpiece for Princess Peach. What do you think?
Love the colors.
It's trash.
How dare you look at my masterpiece and say that?
I'll burn the skin off your bones!
Wow. Sorry about that. That's the old Bowser talking. Still working through my demons, I suppose. Anyway, I need my 8 hours or else I really turn into a monster.
That's just funny. Like, I love the sound of that. Are there any, other bits from the game that we played when we were kids, like mushrooms and leaves and all those kind of things?
Tons. Did you see the first one? Have you seen the first one?
No, I haven't, no.
Right. Do watch the first. If I give you an example of something that really killed me in the first movie, there was a point at which Toad takes Mario to the castle to meet the princess the first time. They knock on the door and 2 mushroom guards say, well, thank you for coming, but I'm afraid, Mario, the princess you're looking for isn't here. She's in another castle. And I absolutely howled with laughter when I heard that joke, because that was how every world ended on Mario. Oh, thank you for saving us, but the princess isn't here, she's in another castle. I love that. That's my kind of humour. There is a fair amount of that in this as well, and I think it's a much stronger film than the first movie. The first movie was a basic, they go to the kingdom, they get separated, Mario has to rescue Luigi. That was basically the premise. This time around, there's a bit more going on. They bring in, other characters from outside, other Nintendo bits, like Star Fox, Fox McCloud, voiced by Glenn Powell, is a thing. There's little cameos by, Rob the Robot from the NES era, and they're using super scopes as, baby guns and things like that. There's stuff in here that absolutely had me howling. The little Nintendo nerd in me was was laughing insanely all throughout. Like end to end, I actually was quite amused. And in terms of the actual narrative, you get the impression going through it that given that it starts with the Illumination logo with the minions, you're like, okay, so that kind of tells you who this is aimed at. Like, this is not aimed really at adults, and the only way it should be is just to placate me because I'm watching it with children. You know what I mean? Like, presumably I'm watching it with my nephew, or you're watching it with your son, something like that. And on that level, yeah, it works. It vaguely amuses you. It's full of little nerd references that you will die at the sight of. Like, honestly, the second they go into Fox McCloud's cockpit and all the buttons are color-coded like the SNES control pad, I was like, yeah, it's clever, I like that.
Do they have the flag bit? We have to climb up and you jump and the flag.
That was the first movie. They did that in the first movie.
Right.
Yeah, there's a great gag about that in the first movie. Yeah. But honestly, watch it. If you've not seen the first movie, it's good fun. And I actually think this is better. However, I did have a terrible experience directly after watching this, which was, well, I'd noticed going into this that I was one of only 3 people in the room under the age of 50. Right, genuinely. I'm not being hyperbolic. I think this is a 40-seat screen that I saw this in. And I'm one of 3 under 50. When the film was over, there was a handful of people left who stuck around for Fuze. And a pocket full of people, like, 5, 6 people. And they're all of that age, over 50. And they could not wait to tear this thing to pieces. Oh, what rubbish. Oh, God, even worse than the first. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, for one thing, it's not for you. I mean, it's a Mario movie. I mean, does it have a functional A to B to C narrative? Yes. Does Mario say woohoo and jump around a lot? Yes. Therefore, it's done its job. It's a Mario. Who cares? Stop just deliberately going out of your way to avoid the fun. If you were going into a Mario movie in 2026 that's literally opening with a Minions ident, that's got Yoshi and things like that, does that not tell you that you're not exactly watching Hamnet? You know what I mean?
You should see the review for Bluey.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'd love to see them review their tiny little heads that explode. I'm just honestly flabbergasted. And I'm just sat there thinking, I've never been in a room full of so many people I honestly just felt missed the point to the extent where I might actually be insane. It was absolutely deranged. And you see like the Guardian's 2-star review and crap like that. And you're just like, why do people do this job? Like, why do you not call in sick on these days? And the best part is, all of these people have kids. All of them. Like, I don't think I've met one of them that doesn't have kids. And they're all adult kids now as well. They're all like uni age and above kids. Which means that they were kids when Mario was at its peak. I mean, this movie literally opens with a 40th anniversary of Mario ident as well. And you start thinking, good God, Jesus Christ, what are we doing here? Like, have you people completely lost the sense of joy? Like, just don't bother. And again, I honestly came away from it. I'm going to be the only critic in Britain that gives this thing a positive review.
Maybe they thought it was a documentary.
Perhaps. Maybe they thought, maybe that's what, you know what, someone told them Luigi was in it, and they thought it was about Luigi Mangione. That's what happened. That's what happened. I've just explained it. They thought this was the Luigi doc. Yeah, it all makes sense now.
There you go.
No. But I think very good, and I think kids are going to love it. It's going to make $1 billion. Like, it's so full of everything that every kid loves about all these games. Like, the first movie had Mario Kart in it, for instance, like a sequence where they'd do a car chase in the Mario Kart. This bit's got them on the bikes in the desert with the upside-down pyramids, and, like, with all the classic icon of, this actually really works, And, it's got all the musical beats, like all the incidental music is from the games, and all the sound effects are there, and all the power-ups in the question mark blocks and stuff. And in the end, you just start thinking, I wish my nephew was with me. I wish my nephew was here with me right now. He'd be having the time of his life. And the second we left the screen, he'd be right on his Switch, playing the game. And that's what you want, to be realised. I wasn't bored by it. I wasn't overly, I don't think it's the greatest movie I've ever seen or anything like that. Narratively, sure, it's not Hamlet, kind of thing. But again, I'm watching a Mario movie. What do you think I'm going into this for? I want a Mario movie in which there's a Mario doing Mario things, on a Mario quest. Did I get it? Yeah. Is that job done? Yeah. The end.
There you go. Well, after all that, you can go make your own mind up because it is now in cinemas. Just look for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. We've got one last ride for you this off screen. We're going to talk about The Drama. We'll see what Van thought of that in just a tick. Stay there. Hello and welcome back for one last ride on Off Screen. Then we're going to dive into our last movie of the week, which is called The Drama, starring Robert Pattinson. That's the one.
And Zendaya. And I'm surprised you didn't know that offhand because they have marketing blitzed this, to be really honest. Like,
I've not seen a huge amount.
Have you not? It's been done in a very clever way. You know, it's actually a very interesting film for marketing purposes, which we will get to when we discuss its plot. But as you say, they've kind of made it look like a documentary, very verite kind of a thing. Like the coverage kind of looks like they really got married, kind of a thing. So this stars Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. They are a couple who are getting married. It is the week before their wedding. I am being very careful about how I phrase this movie because it's so easy to spoil. It is the week before this couple's wedding. You know, there are nerves a-fritter. It's quite a nice rom-com-y type vibe to the film, you know. And as they play a drunken game during one of the tasting sessions with two friends of theirs who also happen to be a couple, they play a little game. And during this game, something is revealed about one of our couple. And the fallout from that might upend the entire wedding in the most horrific way imaginable. That is all I'm going to say on the matter. Here is the clip, and here is how they have handled it in the marketing.
So you're saying Charlie is your first love?
Yeah.
First love or your first crush?
Both, I think. Wait, is that insane?
At 30?
So I want to say this thing about her laugh. You know how it's very cute, but it's also kind of
repulsive even.
All right, so before we got married, we did this thing where we said the worst thing we've ever done.
Okay. I'll tell mine if we all do it. Promise?
What did you do?
This dog.
Beer bottles and porn.
You left him there overnight.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing I've ever done?
Okay,
Are you serious?
I now look at this as a challenge to try and figure out what the unexpected turn is, because that's obviously the bit that you're not going to share.
Now, everything I have just told you, like the bulk of all that, including like the bit you heard in the clip there where they're playing the game, that is the first 30 minutes of this film. This film is about 1 hour and 50. Now, if you see it with someone having spoiled the twist for you, the big reveal, you'll still very much enjoy it. Now, I hope they don't, because I think it's fantastic. We all saw it not knowing. I think 1 or 2 of the critics did, actually. But the bulk of us, in my row, my little group, we didn't know. And when it happened, yeah. So if you see it without knowing, see it knowing the clip, you'll have a good time. See it without knowing the twist, it will blow your mind. And what follows is an absolute roller coaster of emotion. Like, I was climbing the wall, I was laughing in amusement, I was laughing in awkward tension. I was genuinely on the edge of my seat, captivated by this film. It has the 2 single best roles that either Zendaya or Robert Pattinson will ever get in their career.
Wow.
Ever get. Like, this is... Put this aside now for next Oscar season, because I have a feeling this might come up. Now, one newspaper of note did kind of do this film dirty, I have to say. When we came out of the screening on, I think, Monday morning, we had an email waiting for us from the publicists, as we always do, that says, "Hi, can we have your one-line responses, for the marketing? Please observe the embargo until this time, and also, even when you do review it, can we please not spoil it?" Now, that didn't seem to matter because The Guardian had already run a full op-ed piece about the reveal of this movie and some controversy surrounding it. So it's very easy to find out what this movie is about. It's very, very easy. In fact, it could be accidentally done for you. If you can avoid it, do. Like, genuinely do, and go and see this. Do it as a date night movie, do it middle of the day, do it whenever. And I promise you will come out of this movie thinking, do you know what? Wow, that actually is, that's cinema. You know what I mean? That's a motion picture right there. Like it's not big, it's not flashy. It's it starts out as one thing, it becomes another. It's literally the From Dusk Till Dawn of rom-coms. Because for those first 30 minutes, I thought I was watching a rom-com. And then it took that From Dusk Till Dawn move. And wow, I will never get that feeling back. And it's very important to me that I want to protect that feeling for everyone else. So please go and see this movie as quickly as you can. Before anyone has the chance to ruin it for you, you'll be watching two amazing performances, regardless of whether or not you know what those performances are orbiting. But just go and see what it is they're orbiting, because it's really something. I was really taken with this film.
You've really built that up for me now. I want to see this so badly, but I've got my son for the next week, so I can't go.
I mean, I'm happy to tell you off, Mike, but you're not there, no.
I'm assuming from what you've said that this twist isn't a kind of twist at the end of the movie. It's a twist after the first 30 minutes.
No, I'm not making the From Dusk Till Dawn comparison lightly. You remember From Dusk Till Dawn? It was a Tarantino movie for half an hour, and then boom, vampires. Sinners. Remember how Sinners was a prohibition movie, and then boom, vampires.
Got ya.
This is like that. You're watching rom-com, and then boom.
Wow. I mean, I love that. I love the unexpected.
It's honestly so effectively done. But this is where we get to the second example this week of editing. This is the other end of what we experienced with Mike and Nick and Alice, where the editing here makes the film. Because you are in this emotion, you're on this emotional ride. This absolute roller coaster with the ups, the downs, and you are feeling everything. And part of the reason that you feel it all as effectively as you do, in addition to those great performances, is the way this has been put together, which is it's done in such a way as to really make you question your reality of it. To make you question, wait, is that a dream or a flash forward? Wait, is that a flashback or is that how he's imagining that? Wait, is that what he actually did or is that how she saw it? It's questions like this that really keep you wondering through the film, and you have this absolute uncertainty just completely exists on as the sort of lava bed that has these rocks of just absolutely explosive matter atop them waiting to go off. And I've not seen anything like it in a long time. It is. And I always hate to wheel this one out because it always feels so hyperbolic. But this is the best movie I've seen this year so far. Like, it really is. 2026, this is movie of the year so far. It's not called a drama, it's called the drama. And that is for a damn good reason.
Well, if you do want to rush to the cinema, like I want to go and watch the drama, you can, because it is out from now. Right, now, are we going to look ahead in 2 weeks, Van? Because we're not here next week, obviously.
Yeah, well, we're not, because it's Easter break and the film releases are kind of all over the place. And I think we'd only have 3 films to review next week, and it wouldn't be. Yeah, so let's just do a stuffed one in 2 weeks' time, in which we can discuss, hopefully, the full roster of Father, Mother, Sister, Brother, the new Jim Jarmusch movie, which I have seen, and I have thoughts. We also have the new Reggae Jean Page rom-com, You, Me, and Tuscany. That rhymes. The new horror movie Undertone. I think it's the French-Algerian period thriller The Stranger, which ends, by the way, with Killing an Arab by The Cure, which in terms of its lyrical content is so on the nose for the plot of the movie. Banging tune.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a film that you are, I think, going to go nuts over, which I am embargoed on. It's called California Scheming. It is... oh, no, I'm not embargoed. Embargo's dropped, sorry. California Scheming. It's James McAvoy's directorial debut. It's about the 2 Scottish rappers who pretended to be Americans and then got a record contract in the early 2000s. Do you remember Syllable and Brains? Do you remember the story?
Oh, yeah. So they made a film about it.
They've made a film. There's a documentary on Netflix, which I haven't seen yet. It's about 2 years old. This is the narrative film that's out. Yeah, this comes out next Friday. We've got Brian Cox's directorial debut. That was a bit bugs, but that's all, folks. His directorial debut, Glenn Rothan, next week. We've got, and I thought this had come out ages ago and I just missed it, Kiss of the Spider-Woman with J-Lo. I think that's a musical. And then, I don't know anyone that's looking forward to this, Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Because the last attempt to make a movie out of The Mummy went so well, didn't it? Yeah, we all know how well Tom Cruise one went, didn't we? Yeah, that was great, that one. God.
Oh, well, let's hope this one's better than that.
Can we just skip to the Brendan Fraser reboot already? Like the Mummy 4 that they're doing. Because they're doing Mummy 4 now, so let's just do that. But yeah, so we've got this is like a horror movie version of them. It's an actual horror movie version, so we'll find out. I mean, I think I'm seeing it end of next week, I think, but we shall find out if it's any good or not in due course.
Well, yeah, we've got a bumper set of movies to talk about when we come back. That is, of course, all we have time for this week on Off Screen. We will be back in 2 weeks to go through those movies. Until then, I've been Adam Ball.
I've been Van Connor. Keep it cinematic, and we shall return.